website that violent crime is down 30% in DC. That doesn't mean like that there aren't problems. One guy posted on my page, "Go ahead and walk around DC. Tell me if you feel safe." So Paul, again, why don't I have you up on my board? Paul Shivari behind the glass today. So I went to his page, as I do, because I'm always like, who's this joker? If you're gonna come on my page, clearly you don't like my stuff. So I went to his page. He's from Alabama. Guess where I've been where I don't feel safe? Definitely I don't feel safe in Alabama. And so I wrote him, I'm like, I wouldn't send the troops in to Alabama because I don't feel safe there. This is not a reason to send in essentially troops to have martial law. We do not... The fact that there are so many people that are excited about this, and the worst part, though, I think everyone understands that saying the homeless must go. You must vacate the city or you will be evicted. Like, but what? So, and on my page, people are writing, well, we should do something like we did during World War II with the Japanese. That we should send them out to the desert so they don't have any access to drugs and alcohol. They are and have been saying the terrible things out loud over and over again. These are really disgusting. And there are many veterans who struggle with PTSD, with mental health issues, who are also homeless. So I don't understand any of this angle. And you go to some of these pages of people who say the most vile things, and they'll have, a crucifix. They'll have, all these religious imagery on their page, and yet they want to take the homeless and discard them because Donald Trump saw some on his way back from a golf trip and was disgusted by it and wanted to clean up DC. This is not, disappearing people is not how you address homelessness. It simply is not. You don't solve an issue that we have been dealing with for a long time, and we have been doing a better job in the last several years. But when the Republicans come in and defund services and tried everything they can to make sure that people are unable to have housing that is affordable, access to health care, access to mental health services, this is what's going to happen. I don't understand why. I understand. It's not about the Christianity. It's not about helping people. It is about hurting people, in particular black and brown people. And if you're going to come at me about how, it's not about racism, then tell me why we aren't going after the 500,000 people who are from Europe with white skin. Why are we giving special passes for people to come in from Africa with white skin? Explain that to me. Why are their agents showing up at the Puerto Rican Cultural and Heritage Museum in Humboldt Park and not the Copernicus Center or the Irish American Heritage Center? We know that there are Polish migrants who are here, and I don't want them to. By the way, I don't want them to be rounded up either, or the Irish, or anybody else that's here who maybe came and overextended their stay. But they are. There's more than 500,000 people here who have white skin, and don't tell me it's because of the numbers. It's either illegal or it's not. It doesn't matter about the volume. Why am I screaming at you, Paul, and you don't even get to say anything to me? Because I don't know how to. You guys keep showing me this over and over and over again. Oh, wait, there's something rolling through. But see, then I don't know how to take it. This is one of the technical parts of radio that nobody else needs to know about. And I'm sure that in a moment, Matt will be coming in through that door to show me how to do it, and that will help me. But there's somebody. Oh, it's Paul. Hey, Paul Shivari. So I was rolling through, right? We roll through here. You go ahead and roll it. Roll it, and we'll see if we can get your microphone up so you can have a conversation. Good show last night, by the way. Some sports stuff. Absolutely. That's all ready? Excellent. So I'll turn that on, and we'll talk to Paul Shivari in a moment because he will actually be filling in for me next Tuesday, August 19th. Paul Shivari will be behind the microphone right here in the studio, so please tune into his show. I will be off next Tuesday, and I think I have a couple more dates coming up. I'm going to be off on Friday. Ben Kamenos will be in the seat because I'll be in Iowa at their wingding. So hi, Paul.
Hi.
How crazy is this news? I mean, it's not crazy, though. That's what's so unsettling.
How normal everything seems in the Donald Trump era? Where if you told us this 10 years ago, it would be crazy, but now it's like all the craziness has been normalized.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's I'm curious to see what happens with this DC thing, but of course everyone's reaction here is well, when is he gonna make the leap to Chicago?
Right, and he mentioned us.
I get why he's trying this in DC because it's less legal hurdles to get through.
Right.
But I'm waiting to see when it crosses over to an actual state, an actual American city in a state.
Well, as a testing ground, right? But also to castle himself. right, to fortify the area around the White House, right? He's building this big ballroom. He wants to he's castling himself. Basically, he wants to be able to fortify the area around the White House so that if there is any sort of backlash to the continuation of these fascist steps, that it's harder to get if in fact we have people that realize this is horrible, including his cult members or rational Republicans who finally turn their attention and protest toward him too.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on Republicans protesting him, though.
Yeah. Someone just texted they tried L.A. already. And I agree. The idea is maybe, this is all just bluster. This is all just thumping their chests and, showing that they can do it and they will do it if they're pushed or whatever, or, this show of force. And I'm hoping that it does sort of peter out the same way it did. And he can only do it for 30 days unless Congress gives him permission to extend it, which with this Congress, as mentioned before, I don't see anything to stop him.
Yeah, and good call by that texter about L.A. It's been such a crazy summer, I'd forgotten. Oh yeah, that's right. That's how we kicked off the spring and summer here.
Well, and a friend of mine has, that's where I'm like, a friend of a friend works for Department of Homeland Security. And one of the issues with the National Guard, is it the National Guard? The Marines are in LA, as well as some Guard members, I believe. And they aren't paying for where they can stay. I think they still continue they were sleeping on the floor of buildings around the city. They're not, this is going to be at the cost. At what point are you also
treating the active service members like they treat the veterans then, is what
correct.
You're saying?
Yes. So at what point do you also have members of our military going, well, this is BS?
That's what I'm wondering. Because, at some point, there's got to be some sort of the chain of command in between President Trump and, whatever the lower level people that are carrying out these missions. There's got to be some sort of commander, leader, general, whatever in there that's like, wait a minute, we're not going to follow that order.
I remember when he won the first time, and part of me had this, I can't remember what the name of the mechanism is in movies where you have this sort of surprise ending hero that comes in, and Machinist Day, someone will correct me on what it is, but it's like almost an act of God or superhero kind of ending. And I thought, is there a shadow, not just like a shadow government? We talk about having these press conferences, but are there people who know that this is terrible? Even before he won, I thought surely someone in the CIA is like, well, we can't let this happen. This is he poses a danger to this country and to democracy around the world. You know what I'm saying? Are there people in the military and the government? At least
that I don't know, because isn't he putting some of his own people into the CIA or the FBI or and then you think of if there's some sort of secret cabal of rich people or whatever running the pulling the string. But look who was at the inauguration. It's like he's in bed with these people.
Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and all of it. And to your point then about the billionaires is that it was Elon Musk's Doge boy who got carjacked and beat up by some teenagers. That's the instigation for the occupation of D.C.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it was two things. It was one was this young man was attacked, which we had carjackings in Chicago and that has eased. We of course have crime, urban areas with the density, and when you choke off neighborhoods from opportunities and resources, people are going to create their own underground culture and economic system. So. And there are higher crime rates, violent crime rates in cities in red states. At any rate.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes, it was that. It was a Doge boy who had his carjacked and got beaten up, apparently. Allegedly, though. It
doesn't mean it's an excuse to take over an area.
Not. Of course not. But also, the story allegedly, Trump was on his way golfing or from golfing and saw homeless people and was disgusted by it and graffiti and wanted to clean the city up. And I don't know. It is surreal. I have lived in this city my entire life, and it was more dangerous when I was a kid. We've talked about this. The city was more dangerous in the 70s and 80s than it is today. I know that with the prevalence of gun violence, with the destabilization of moving, different pockets of communities around the city, when we deconstructed Cabrini Green, and so there was sort of this tenuous relationship between the police department and gang leaders and things like that. That's all changed. But I also think that the investment we've made into communities, for everything that people say about Mayor Johnson and I don't know how much it was under Mayor Lightfoot too, we have moved in the direction of providing programs for kids, for families, for people who are following incarceration. We talked to Todd Belcour about that. Those are investments in people and communities that I think can be a path forward. to alleviate crime?
This is like a way larger conversation, but like crime everywhere is way down compared to where it was 30 years ago. So, but like, okay, so you got to remember, like, I'm of a certain age that I don't know the 70s or 80s quite well. And the 70s in general, though, like when I see old pictures of like, like Times Square had porn theaters, and like, so it was like, like the town I'm from, Harvard, I guess, apparently had a porn theater in the 70s, a tiny little, the people of God out there, in that community. And it's like, it seems like in general, though, that the world was a way slimier, crime-ridden place 50 years ago compared to now, regardless of the investment of the communities. But also, like, there's more... There was like less accountability, it seems like then, compared to nowadays, and a lot of things can be recorded on cell phones.
That part too.
The traffic cameras, this and that. So like,
it's a blend. I think it's a blend because you used to have, and someone talked about this over the weekend. I think that where if you saw a kid running around the neighborhood doing something, that they shouldn't be, you knew their parents. Like there was community connections, and I do think that was a thing in my neighborhood. And remember, I grew up here on the northwest side of Chicago. A lot of cops and firefighters, pretty stable community, a lot of blue collar workers. But I went to Lane Tech, which had kids from all different neighborhoods. And like when I was in high school, there was a Simeon basketball player that was shot. And I mean, I remember there being more gang violence that rose to the surface. I mean, we see a lot of tagging here and things like that on the northwest side. But I remember more of the sort of territorial executions. And again, it's happened in the last decade. We've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
But at any rate, no, you're right. I think that, and it's funny because I think about when my mom used to take me to certain neighborhoods in the Chicago to visit her friends or family. And I remember like the images that you see now of like the 70s, whether it's Harlem or parts of Chicago, like buildings that look like they were bombed, right? Like the crumbling. I remember seeing those as a child. And I think that there's been better investment. I'm not saying where we've gotten to, there's definitely neighborhoods that still you drive through and you're like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What hope do people have if we're not putting our resources here too?
Where it's like, buildings that can be condemned and, they're already boarded up, you know, like clean up the community, make it look a little bit nicer. Yeah.
Well, and I know that they had a program where you could buy buildings for literally dollars if you were going to invest in it. You couldn't just sit on the property and wait for it to increase in value. You had to do something with the property, which I think, if you look like what grocery stores pulled out, didn't Whole Foods pull out of some of those neighborhoods because they said that for whatever reason?
That seems right.
Recent, yeah. See, what's crazy is that I do feel like when I'm online, like I'm losing my mind. I made this post about DC and the National Guard and all this stuff. And there's an argument in my thread between people about, well, why? Oh, so Trump can call the National Guard into DC. And then, of course, there's Pelosi denied it, right? And then there was one person, Paul, who said Trump wasn't even president on January 6th. And I was like, oh my God, you may as well say the planet is flat, is all. Yeah. Like the earth is flat. Like, what are we doing?
It was very much well documented that he was president for like 13 days after when they changed over to Biden. But yes,
what is happening? It does make me feel crazy because they're insane.
Well, and these are the same type of people that are wanting to be patriots, but they don't know a simple fact like, January 20th in a year that just followed an election might be the day that they switch over instead of
January
2
6th.
Weeks before. Yeah.
It's literally in the name of the January Sixers and all that stuff. Oh my God. Yeah. We're not operating with the same, set of truth. Well, these are the same people who watching the arguments about the shooter at the CDC who he said he shot and killed a police officer. And I wonder if it would have been different if it was a white police officer too, right? When they see because some of the stories showed the police officer who was black, and the headline was above him about a shooter, and then you're like, is the picture of the shooter? No, it's the police officer that was killed. So it's poorly done. So then there are people who say, well, it probably was the vaccinations that made him shoot people. And those, I can't. Well, let's continue our conversation. Let's see. We'll go ahead and open up the phone lines. I'm sure people have some thoughts, some feels. 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. I want to thank our sponsors for making these conversations possible. There are over 1,500 conservative talk stations in the country, plus 700 religious stations. We are one of less than, a dozen? So these sponsors really believe in making sure that voices are heard, that your voices are heard. So please support our sponsors. You can go to the Heartland Signal website, heartlandsignal.com, and find out not just about my show sponsors, but the entire station. My show sponsors are Monaco Brewing Company. Today I wrote a piece. Finally, Democrats are Stop. They're not bringing spoons to a knife fight anymore. So that was my piece I wrote today. And if you order some woke coffee, you support the work that I do there. That's at Minocqua Brewing Company's Substack or their website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. And you can also order some of your progressive beers or swag there. I also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to PrideCoffeeRoasters.com. Man, I had my Mexican blend today. It's got the hints of dark chocolate and cinnamon, and I love starting my day that way. Go to PrideCoffeeRoasters.com and type in the promo code DriveHome10 for your 10% discount for a limited time only. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. They are only taking orders for solar panels to the end of this month. They'll still talk to you and have conversations with you going forward past the incentive period, because they do expire federally for residents at the end of this year. And in order to get that done, he wants to make sure that you get the information, and feel comfortable with getting solar panels. If you've been thinking about it, hop off that fence and go to source.solar and learn more. We also want to thank Kids Above All. They're still doing their backpack drive. Go to kidsabovall.org and help send these kids back to school feeling supported and loved with some new school supplies, and knowing that people out there care about them. More after this on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150.
Think Theory Radio.
Theoretical astrophysicist Dan Hooper.
If there's someplace a light year away from now, there's nothing I can do now that can influence that place in less than a year. No matter what I do, no matter how I build my quantum machine, or no matter what I entangle or what I quantum teleport, nothing I can do here can affect that until a full year has passed, allowing light to get there at the speed of light.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820. This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway, or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Yeah, I think we all got a lot to say this week. Joining us on the line is one of our listeners who often kicks off our show. Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty.
Hey.
In my experience, I've seen alcoholics, drug addicts, thieves, wealthy people who would take a hot stove. They're so criminal they take a hot stove. And they come from this guy running around with Epstein and his girlfriend with $1.5 billion island molesting adolescents at will. I didn't see him bring him to the island to give them an education or a roof over their head or anything along those lines. That's Trump. And he hung around with him for God knows how long, 20 years. I've never seen Trump during the pandemic. Did he open up any of his hotels to the people who were infected with this disease? Did he give a whit about? Well, he knew he could articulate it to Woodward in February, but he didn't. Patty, if you were president of the United States and you're sitting in the White House, and you know that this disease is terrible in February,
I know,
and you don't open your mouth for a month. What kind of a president are you?
Well, what kind of journalist is Bob Woodward, who's like, oh yeah, by the way, back when this was getting really bad, but I was writing this book, so I didn't want to tell anybody about it. That's something that bothers me a lot too with these guys.
But the money is there. The Republican Party, their deal is God is their money. That's their God. It's got nothing to do with even these evangelists on TV. They're constantly hustling for money. But think, when you talk about crime or homelessness, let's say homelessness.
Sure.
I'm telling you, this is the honest to God truth. Lyndon Johnson in 1965 passed the HUD Housing Act for 300,000 HUD houses would be affordable housing, affordable apartments, and so on. And Reagan, that was supposed to be in perpetuity. Reagan got his mitts on it and cut it down to 50,000. So he was president for 8 years, basically. So do the math. That's a couple million, 2-3 million affordable apartments and homes that could have been built. But no, Republicans don't believe in that. They don't believe in that. They believe that they want to give tax cuts. And you know what's so strange, Patty? The French Revolution was caused. One of the biggest reasons was the people that had all the money didn't pay any taxes.
Exactly. So
So it finally got to the point where, that's where left and right comes in. That's exactly where that comes in. If you're right, you're with Louis XVI because you probably got a title from him and some money, and if you're left, you're broke. You want Louis XVI's head. But the point is, that was the reason for the blow up. It was over about 30, 40 years, and they finally realized we can't go on like this. We got to do something. But anyway. But that's all the Republicans are interested in. And they talk about the deficit, Patty. Remember, everything is the Democrats, the deficit. I hear Republicans all the time before an election. Well, look at the deficit. Look at the deficit. In the meantime, this guy just added about $6 trillion to it. Bush Jr. had about $11 trillion off the books. And he put us in, that was the lost decade. All economists that I talked to after 2008 said this is the lost decade. In other words, by the time we recover our real estate value and everything else, it'll be too late.
Yep.
They are an absolute disaster. They're a living disaster. And to put troops in Washington, D.C. is insane, but Chicago, I can't wait till he sends them down here. Because I'm going to go down there like the 60s again.
With the 60s
again.
Jim, sure.
Yeah, I'm going to wear a flower. I'm going to wear a flower, put a flower in their gun. I really mean it. I mean, this is absurd. But this guy, the absolute child pedophile this guy is. And he's talking about squalor. He's never done anything about it.
No.
He's never done it. He's never lifted his finger.
If anything, he turned people away from housing when he had the opportunity to redline black people. Yep.
Oh, absolutely. So, man was a slum landlord, and his son-in-law. The son-in-law was a slum landlord in Baltimore. He was written up every other day. He ran a slum in Baltimore. Now he got $2 billion. We know the story. $2 billion that nobody can explain.
Exactly.
Nobody in the world can explain. Thanks, Betty. Take care.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, exactly. All the things. I will never ever wrap my mind around. And the thing is, I guess I can't. I've never tried to get into the brain of people who are all in on Trump. I mean, there are people who don't like him. They'll say, I don't like what he says. I don't like some of the things that he does, but at least he's a Republican. There's a lot of people who just vote for Trump because he has the R behind his name, regardless of whether or not he actually is a Republican. He's just a Trojan horse for a lot of these very powerful people to get their agenda through, whether it's this guy, I always forget his name, who's the head of OMB and that whole faction that, the Pride of 2025 people, the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, once they saw the reaction that Trump was getting because of the media, both, how well he was doing in the debates and then the overwhelming response he was getting on social media, they saw an opportunity to get their agenda through, whether it was, for some it was to end abortion. For some, it was to defund public schools, which has been very successful in places like Missouri, where there are parts that have to go down to 4 days a week because they simply can't afford to keep sending kids to school in areas that don't have access to charter schools. Man, I'm trying really hard not to yell today, Jeff. Do you want to yell, Jeff? How are you doing? Are you hydrating? Oh.
Man, I am hydrating. I hope you guys are hydrating.
I am hydrating.
Speaking of hydrating, a fun note to just sidetrack just for a second. I went to North Halstead Market Days over the weekend with some friends.
Yes.
And girl, I needed that.
I heard it was amazing. I'm so jealous.
And I feel like a lot of people in the city had that same vibe. Like, girl, we need to forget things for an afternoon.
Yeah.
Have some drinks, do some dancing on the street in the daylight. You know what I mean? Like, yep. So, and for any listeners who've never been, if you can trek into the big, bad, dark, dangerous city for an afternoon.
Yeah.
It is one of the coolest things ever. It's gotten a lot more family friendly as I get older. I've noticed it's a lot less risque than it once was.
Okay.
Nice. But it's still one of the largest. It's one of the largest events ever in Illinois every year. In terms of annual attendance and numbers of people out there per day, and it's awesome. So go check it out. Mark your calendars for next year. Okay. So that's my side note. We needed that, right? The whole thing about Republicans and crime always blows my mind. We've been on this trend of crime going down, violent crime going down, for 30 years, and yet reporting about crime is like some segments of the news. That's all they talk about, right? It's like reporting on crime. Some stats are like is like 10 times, 30 times more than it ever used to be. Like, crime is such a huge segment of local news.
Yes.
And they'll report on the smallest of things.
Yeah.
So people think it's much worse than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a problem that we need to tackle. And as someone in the media, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, like how you're supposed to go about that. I don't know where the pressure comes from or whatever. But then the other thing here is, what a weird solution to DC's problem.
Oh, no. Oh, they lost you for a second.
Troops in the military.
Yeah, I lost you for 1 second, but I had you. What a weird solution you said to bring in the...
What a weird solution to DC's problems to try to bring in troops and federalize their police force. The troops cost way more than even what they're paying, regularly cops. Cops make a good living, especially after they've gone through their first year or 18 months,
right?
And aren't a rookie anymore. And we pay cops in Cook County. We pay cops with a year on the force more than we pay starting attorneys at the state's attorney's office. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
I know.
So we're kind of, we've got this lopsided, or Republicans have this lopsided idea that we can just throw a militarized or policing solution at it when SNAP costs like less than $2,500 a year per recipient. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Medicaid runs at like a 2% operating margin. It's one of the most efficient programs that's ever been created. Mm-hmm. And yet we're going to throw policing solutions and military solutions at things like homelessness. He's like, homeless people need to move out of DC immediately. Get the F out of here. You know what I mean? Like, these guys, they're out of, and it's got to be this media bias that's steering them towards these crazy, radical solutions for things that just don't have a basis in reality. So that's my 2 cents. I feel like that's more than 2 cents. But
it was very valuable, and I appreciate the conversation. No, those are great insights, and I'm so glad that you called in. And I've got to go to the break. I was going to give you the crystal, the little bit of music here. I'll do it retroactively. Here we go. I got to run to the break. Jeff, I'm trying to stay in a good mood today, and but this conversation has helped me know that there are people who get it, and that's part of why I love that someone like you calls in, and our listeners are expressing the same on the text screen. So thank you, Jeff. Be safe out there, all right?
You too.
Take care. Stay hydrated.
Bye.
Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. The phone lines are open, 773-763-9278. You can also text the same number. That's our Credo Mobile phone and text line, 773-763-9278. Credo Mobile, better for the planet and for people. CredoMobile.com.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and storms possible once again tonight with a low temperature of 73 degrees and south winds at 5 to 15. On Tuesday, scattered showers and storms are likely with a high of 84 degrees and winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, sunshine, comfortable with a high of 79 degrees. Thursday, sunny with a high of 80. Friday, sunshine and a high of 90. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 90.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
People who listen to WCPT, you are bright, you are interested, you are interesting, and you are well informed. It is a gift for me to be here, and I appreciate it every day. We obviously couldn't do this without you.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
Excuse me, miss. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Can you recommend a bank that offers a full suite of commercial banking products along with excellent service?
Yes, ABOC.
What about a bank that has been in Chicago for more than 100 years and really understands the local business climate?
ABOC.
But I manage a labor union. Can you recommend a bank that really understands how labor unions operate and what banking products they need?
Again, ABOC. ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922 and understands the local business climate better than anyone. ABOC was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders today. So they really understand how unions tick and how their needs may be different. But whether you're with a labor union or another type of business, whether you're large or small or something in between, ABOC will always make you feel like you're their most important customer. Visit ABOC.com to learn more.
Wow, thank you, random person on the street. I'm going to visit ABOC.com today.
Member FDIC. You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Hi, everybody. I've been trying to catch up with some of the texters. Sometimes texts come in and then another one replaces it, and I'll be responding to one, but then I end up responding to somebody else. So somebody had texted in that I wouldn't put it past Trump to move the Putin meeting to D.C. from Alaska, and then I gave him a response that said, "Good Lord," and I can't find anything online, which was a response to somebody talking about people disappearing from Alcatraz, which I hate. I shouldn't even say. The detention center, the Gulag concentration camp in the Everglades. There was a story that broke, I believe, at the end of the week last week that a judge, maybe it was on Saturday, has ruled. Yeah, it was Friday. They ruled that no more construction can proceed in the Everglades for this concentration camp because it is an environmental protection area. So I don't know how that's going to affect just this horrible, so many horrible things happening all over the place all at once. It's a lot. It's everybody take a sip of water. I am drinking water, by the way, folks. Sometimes I put some electrolytes in it because that helps. But okay, take a sip. Let me get the Roosevelt so I can take a sip of water. Roosevelt, thanks for joining us. What's on your mind, my friend?
Patty,
yes.
First of all, thank you for taking my call. Second, I'm outside walking, so forgive me if you hear an airplane going by me, but I live by Midway Airport.
I live by O'Hare, so I get it. Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, I just wanted to mention this, and I think you already touched a little bit on it. What was all this concern on January 6th when his white buddies were over there in the Capitol? Yeah. Didn't he say two things he said about Pelosi? One was, first he said that Pelosi should have been calling. In other words, it wasn't his decision to call anybody, whether it was
or his power. He made it sound like it wasn't in his power, right?
He made it sound like he didn't have any power. He didn't have no choice. Now let me ask you this: if those are domestic terrorists that he pardoned, so what if another country would have attacked the Capitol? He wouldn't have done anything. That's point number one. Point number two: later on, because he's always got to cover himself. Later on, he said that. Pelosi refused his help because he said that he was going to send 10,000 or how many troops or how many National Guards. So you can't have it both ways. That's my point. And now we know that he did have the powers. So he gives himself up constantly by what he says and what he does later on. He actually predicts himself. He predicts what he's going to do, but with his mouth, meaning he's going to stick his foot in his mouth. That's what I'm talking about. What do you think of that? That's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No, it's a lot of stuff. No, I'm not sure what kind of response you want. I think he will stick his foot in his mouth. I don't know if it matters if he sticks his foot in his mouth. Roosevelt out for a walk in the Midway Airport area. But yeah, I think there's a lot of possibility for doing things that will, I think. Well, at any rate, hey, Steve in the Gold Coast, what's on your mind, my friend?
Yes, I want to make a couple of points. And you're absolutely right with regard to exactly how much of the federal budget goes to helping the least among us. I mean, this gets blown up, and then, of course, you get these anecdotal stories, the so-called welfare queen, someone who's, scamming the system and that sort of thing. The vast majority of the people who get help are actually getting it for a short period of time. They go back to work. It's people in between jobs. It's people who are having a hard time, and a lot of the people have been there. The stories tend to end up being, okay, well, this person has been receiving welfare benefits and been living in Section 8 for 30 years. And yes, those people exist, but they're not the vast majority of people who get benefits in this country. And we need to recognize that. I mean, many Americans are just one or two paychecks away from this. And people don't understand the context. I mean, there are stories, for instance, about how in Chicago, New York, L.A., to provide someone with housing who's homeless, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000. Yes, and that sounds like a huge number. Until you start to do a little bit more analysis, because you don't take somebody who's homeless, who in all likelihood is suffering from mental illness, substance abuse, any number of other issues, and just build them a home and say, here's the keys, have a good time. No, they need support services. They need mental health services. They need addiction services. They need all sorts of things, and that's what gets priced into this. So, right. When you talk about it, it's not like, the family of four who's living in Winnetka, we give them a home. Okay, they probably can get by without our help. You just give them the keys. They know how to do what they need to do. But this is not the community that we're talking about. So, it's either you can help people on the one end, or you can help them on the other. And just forget about altruism for a moment, even though I think there's a good case to be made for it. This is in our interests. I mean, you can either build prisons or you can build schools. Which one do you want to do? You can either provide for preventive care in medicine, or you can provide exponentially more when people are laying on the sidewalk and you call 911 and they go to a hospital. We're not going to let people die in this country. So that means that somewhere along the line you're going to have to treat them, which means it costs a lot more. Better to give them preventive care. A pill now that costs a dime is worth a lot more than, triple bypass.
Right.
A year from now. So, but, again, we allow these things to be framed in a way that makes it look like, well, we're all working hard and they're just out there scamming the system and then we have to bail them out. That's not what it is. But again, stop watching social media, stop listening to Fox and these ridiculous stories about, individuals who are scamming the system, and instead look at the totality of the programs.
Yeah, I agree. And, the thing is, if we need political will mostly to actually address these problems, because there are solutions even in the United States. So Finland is one of the most successful countries in the world that has addressed this. They've eliminated a lot of homelessness, which involve like a partnership between government municipalities, nonprofits, and converting shelters into permanent housing units. And by housing first, what they mean is, to all that your point about the addressing mental health issues, addiction issues, they give them housing first and have the services available to the people who are living there. Some places want you to get cleaned up before you come in. And look, there's a safety element that they're talking about, but they're programs that work in Finland. We actually have pilot programs in Utah, and there's another program in Denver that's going very well. So it requires the political will of the federal government to actually do things that help people. And to your point, they would rather build prisons. We know that. So I got to run. Steve. Go ahead. One more point.
Okay, well, just last point. It turns out that this is much more effective in places that are more homogeneous, like Finland. When it turns out that you have a heterogeneous society, all of a sudden, somebody who doesn't look like me, I'm not as willing to help.
Interesting. Yeah, make a good point there. Thanks, Steve. Paul in Seattle, what's on? There you go. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind, my friend?
Well, I'll tell you one thing is First of all, I don't know who the billionaires are to be saying that poor people should get off the street. Trump wants to throw the homeless out of D.C. Out of D.C.? I mean, I don't know where the billionaires, where they get off saying that people who just exist. I mean, other than the ground that you stand on or sit on, what else? If you're not entitled to that, then you're not entitled to live.
Exactly.
You're not living life.
Yeah. And,
right.
And
so,
that's what a lot of these people want. They want them eradicated, just like they want Democrats eradicated. They want things that just don't make them feel good eradicated.
And then he says he's going to evict them from D.C. and put them in who else's backyard.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead, you don't want them where you are, so you're going to put them. You're make them somebody else's problem.
Yep.
I think, by the way, there was this guy. He was a good guy. Who said, "You will always have the homeless, but you will not always have me."
Oh God!
And you know why? I said this to my pastor. I said, "You know, you got to read between the lines when you hear that, because when he said you will always have the homeless, you have to insert because that's the way you are, and you will not always have me because that's the way you are." And that's what you really have to read into that. And by the way, there are no bigger welfare queens, for crying out loud, than Trumpers.
Yeah.
I mean,
red states are the welfare states. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a woman who lived across from me in his first term. She's on every entitlement, state and federal, that there is. I mean, she gets Section 8 housing. She's not even around anymore, but she doesn't live here anymore. But she has the state coming in and doing her laundry and cleaning her unit. And then I saw her one day, and she said, "Well, Paul, you're blind. You should apply for all this." I said, "I don't need." She goes, "Yeah, you need to have somebody clean your apartment, clean your place, and clean your condo, and do your laundry." I'm like, "I don't. Just because I'm blind, I don't need that." She goes, "Well, I
right."
And you should get Section 8. I said, "By the way, I did apply for Section 8 one time. The wait is 5 years. How did you get it? By the way, how did you get it? I mean, you're not disabled. You're just old. I mean, it's like." And if well, I'd be getting more if it wasn't for all the illegals getting it. She's a big Trumpy.
Oh yeah, there's always that.
It's just that I deserve it because I'm white.
Dude.
That's what they think. By the way, what's really funny? Have you ever noticed that the homeless people, they're all white? You hardly ever see.
Well, that's a different conversation. I would not necessarily say that that's the case in my experience. So let me get to another call, Paul. Thank you so much. Okay. I only have enough time for one more call before we go. I actually don't have time, but I'm gonna take Victor anyway because he's been on hold. Hey, Victor in Oregon, how are you doing?
Pretty good, Patti Vasquez. I'm out here at the ocean and it's beautiful out here. 70 degrees.
Nice, love it.
You're the queen of comedy, Miss Vasquez.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate it. What's on your mind, my friend? I got to run to the break. What's on your mind?
Well, real quick, I think the reason why Donald Trump has taken the city of Washington, D.C. and made a fortress out of it and calling out the National Guard is, if you remember, Republicans are on summer break. They went home. They held a couple of town halls, and people were really upset. They were screaming and yelling. I think what happened is that since Donald Trump and Elon Musk shut down the government, basically, and all the services, 90% of the people in D.C. are now laid off.
Yep. They're being paid laid off, so we're throwing money out the door for people who are being told to stay home. I've got to run to my next break here, Victor. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm just saying, they're doing it in fear.
Yes, I agree. They're doing it in fear. I know. That's how they manipulate. Have a good evening. It's good hearing from you, my friend. Take care. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation. When we come back, we're going to talk to Granny FiFi. She's got some music to tell us about. And I love her energy and the musicians she's working with. More after this on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
How many times have I told you that sleep is just as important as diet and exercise when it comes to your overall health? Still, so many people stay up late, they have to get up early, they are shortchanging their sleep. You already know how that makes you feel. Foggy, more irritable, craving more junk food. Well, now a new study out of Yale says not getting enough sleep is also associated with an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. They found the volume of a part of the brain called the inferior parietal region shrunk in people with inadequate slow wave and REM sleep. And you know what? That makes sense because it's a part of the brain that synthesizes memory information. So to make sure you're getting enough deep sleep, your 7 to 9 hours need to be not only that long, but also uninterrupted. You can also up the odds of that happening by keeping your room quiet, dark, and cool. Really makes a difference. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on home and auto insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check your house sitter has the new code first, before leaving for vacation.
System lockout.
But that's the code!
Contacting authority.
I'm out of here.
Oh, seriously, the car too?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a home and auto bundle that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Potential savings vary. Allstate Vehicle and Property.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
We're here today to tell the world we've had enough. We won't lie down and take it when they mess with us. They're lying and trying to privatize, but we win when we organize. Keep your greedy hands off us. We've worked for years to earn our Social Security. And without our Medicare, just where would we be? We'll work to keep the VA strong, so join us as we sing this song. Keep your greedy hands off us. Consumer protection for all of us is what we need. So stop your cruel layoffs and your corporate greed. And hands off our sofas to the course the unions and immigrants do. Keep your greedy hands off us. Hands off all our programs for clean energy. And hands off what's left of our democracy. Hands off everyone straight or trans. Hands off schools and our public lands. Keep your greedy hands off us. Oh, they're lying and trying to privatize, but we win when we organize. Keep your greedy hands off. Keep your greedy hands off. Keep your greedy hands off us.
Yes, that is that's the Piedmont Raging Grannies, and joining us is the music director, Granny FiFi. Hi, Granny. How are you doing?
Hi, Patty. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the state of Vermont, actually. Yeah, I'm from the Northeast. Been down in North Carolina for about 4 years now.
And have you always been sort of involved in doing music as protest for a long time, or when did this evolve for you?
Not as protest. I've been a singer-songwriter for about half my life, been performing with different bands, but joining the Piedmont Raging Grannies less than 2 years ago was really my start of doing that in an organized way. I've always had a big respect for the history of protest music, but I didn't ever get quite as involved as I have till now.
Right. I mean, like, we think of the music for, like, you know, obviously Bob Dylan comes to mind, Joan Baez, and what they were dealing with war. And this is sort of such a strange moment in time. Tell us the kind of conversations that you have and how you collaborate on this music with the Raging Grannies in Piedmont.
Yeah, well, there are granny gaggles all over the U.S. and Canada, and even some abroad, and grannies from all over contribute to the lyrics that we sing, and we share them. We have a website with songs, and we have an email thread that we share songs through. And, you know, we just see what's going on, and we get invited to participate in all kinds of rallies and marches and events. So a lot of them have a particular theme, so we will often write a song for that specific event and sing it there. And we're just constantly writing songs based on what's going on in the country today.
How would you frame, like, categorize the type of rage? I mean, are there days when people come in just fired up about whether it was after the big BS bill, or obviously now we have this military takeover of parts of DC? Are there some days where everyone's just got their sleeves rolled up and ready to get and express it through music?
Yeah, I mean, we all have a lot of conversations with each other outside of our regular meetings and rehearsals. There's definitely a lot of conversation. And, sometimes we're angry. Sometimes we're scared. Sometimes we're discouraged. And we just try and channel all of that into our music so that we can, bring that to other people and hopefully inspire them to action.
Yeah, I mean, that's really a part of it, isn't it? Is wanting people to, not feel alone, but also give them sort of a path or the inspiration or the part of the courage, even if it's feeling good around other people who are protesting. It really makes a difference. What kind of spaces are you performing in?
We've been doing a lot of outdoor rallies and events. We've been singing to crowds of several thousand people, which is wonderful, and we love to do a little audience participation, too. It's just an amazing thing to unite this whole group of people. They seem very inspired. We usually kick off those events. So we get them all singing together, and it feels just absolutely wonderful, and that energy seems to just roll forward, beyond those events.
Yeah, I love that you have a following too. I'm imagining that looks forward to having this sort of energy and share that energy together. When it comes to the protests in North Carolina, what kind of response do you get? Are there, because I haven't seen too much of other places. Like, we've had protests here. Our police force is pretty helpful with our routes and things like that. There's collaborations. What are the protests? What's the energy like for protests in North Carolina?
Just like that, and we are so grateful for that.
Yeah.
We've got some people that have been involved in the steering committees to set up all these events, and they've developed relationships with local law enforcement. They've been here a long, long time, and we have felt so much support from them, and they will pivot on a dime if things change. We decide to march down the street when we didn't plan to, or we got to take a different street or whatever. They've been really, really great.
That's fantastic. It is. We talk so much about this administration and ICE agents, and it's hard to convince some law enforcement that we actually want them to be safe, right? Are you having as many raids? Because it seems to me that ICE. And that doesn't even seem to me. We can see that they are targeting blue states. Are there ICE raids? Because I'd heard there were farms that were struggling in North Carolina as a result of the policies of this administration.
Yeah, I do hear that ICE is around. Haven't seen them myself at this point, but I imagine this is all just going to escalate further, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of the fear, isn't it? What are there things that you see? Like, this is what I'm trying to ask. Are you constantly hearing like the news with lyrics? Like, you're already coming up with lyrics and music behind it. You're like, oh, yeah. I know.
Oh yeah. All the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be hard to rest. 'Cause, I mean, the only thing I tell people, I can't even ask them how they're doing anymore, because they either have to lie, or if they're doing really well, then we're not on the same planet. I don't want to know. So I don't ask how they're doing anymore. I ask if they're hydrating.
That's good.
Right? I mean, that's the best I can do is, are you hydrating? But as are there people who see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel? Where are we with the sort of emotions that people are experiencing in your neck of the woods?
I mean, I think as every day goes by and some new horrible policy gets announced, I just feel like everyone probably feels the way I do. You get tensed up, you read about it, you get tired. You got to take care of yourself, and that's one big strong message, that you've got to take good care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you have to find some joy every day, because joy is an excellent launching pad for all this work that we're doing. You got to find that spot.
I love it. And before I also wanted to find out. I asked if you had done music as protest before. Had you been sort of as politically aware as you are now, or is this something that has sort of evolved over the last couple decades?
No, I have been. I first did the most work I've done to start things off for my political activism was to work on Obama's campaign. His very first campaign, and I just felt so much hope and excitement. And that's where I really got started doing more and more.
I love that. And I love the work that you're doing now. Again, we've been talking to Granny FiFi, music director for the Piedmont Raging Grannies. You can go to raginggrannies.org. What are some of the other places you'd like folks to follow you guys? I'm guessing there's some good social media videos of you available for people to enjoy as well.
Oh, yeah. We're on a bunch of platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We just got started a little bit on Blue Sky and Substack. Don't have a lot of action there, but we've got about 100,000 followers across our platforms now. It's been rapidly growing, and millions of people are viewing our videos. It's quite amazing. We are just so grateful that we can have the impact that we're having. We didn't expect it, but we love that we have a voice in this whole mission.
Well deserved, and thank you so much for what you do. Thank all the grannies for me. We'd love to touch base with you again, especially if you have anything you want to share with us. If there's something important that you want our audience to know about, please don't hesitate to reach out, okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for what you do.
Oh, I don't know if you're aware, but there's I only learned in the last 2 weeks that there's about 1,500 conservative talk stations in the country, and we're one of like a dozen. So I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's going really well, Granny.
Yeah. Well, good. Keep it up.
Thanks. You too. Take care.
All right.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right.
I was probably better off not knowing that information. I mean, I knew it kind of, right, folks? Okay, more after this on WCPT. We're going to welcome to our guest, Demas, co-writer and co-producer of the film A Spartan Dream. If you're in the Chicagoland area, you can see it at the Pickwick. More after this.
If you're looking to purchase a loved one's home after they passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Pam wanted to purchase her grandmother's $400,000 home after she passed away, which was left to Pam's father, Ted, and her Aunt Betty. Ted listens to my show and wanted to forego his half of the equity of his mom's home and sell Pam the home for $200,000. Bad move. I recommended Pam purchase the home for $400,000 and get a gift of equity from her father, Ted, for $200,000. Which enabled Pam to purchase the home with a lower rate and no money out of her pocket. Let's review. I helped Pam purchase her grandmother's home without having to bring a penny to the closing and secure a lower rate. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 112-4061.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Police in Austin, Texas say 3 people were killed in a shooting at a Target store today. Speaking to reporters, Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis says a suspected gunman was apprehended after fleeing the scene.
We have 3 people that are deceased. This is a very sad day for Austin. It's a very sad day for us all. And my condolences go out to the families. At this point, looking at the suspect, we have a male white suspect who appears to be 32 years of age, does have a mental health history.
That's audio from KVUE. And people gathered near the White House today protesting President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard in D.C. That's audio from WJLA. The president announced he'll be taking over Washington's police department and activating 800 members of the National Guard in hopes of reducing crime. Emergency workers are still looking for a missing person after an explosion at a U.S. steel plant near Pittsburgh today. Officials say at least 10 people were sent to hospitals. New security policies are being pushed by the National Football League after a shooting at the league's offices in New York.
The NFL is recommending enhanced security measures at team and league facilities following a shooting last month at a Manhattan office tower by a gunman authorities say was targeting league headquarters. A memo sent to all teams outlined 3 recommended changes: updated threat assessment at every team and league facility to ensure risks are accurately identified and mitigated, presence of armed officers at team and league facilities whenever players or staff members are present, and weapons screening for anyone seeking entry into a team or league facility. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
Trump has backed away from his remarks he made last week for chip maker Intel to fire its CEO. Trump met with Lip Bhutan today and said the CEO would meet with members of his cabinet and bring suggestions to him next week. This is AP News. A university in Michigan is enlisting 4-legged allies to detect infestations in honeybee hives. The AP's Jennifer King has the story.
Maple, a 9-year-old English Springer Spaniel, used to sniff out human remains for a Michigan sheriff's office. Now she and her trainer, Stu Stakel, are working with researchers at Michigan State to detect a bacterial disease, American foul brood, that threatens honeybee larvae.
The dog starts to learn to correlate
the odor, the target odor, with something good is going to happen.
Maple gets her own protective bee suit with booties and a veil for her head.
Her drive exceeds her, why am I wearing this suit?
The university's objective is to train many more dogs to join the ranks, sniffing out danger to pollinators. I'm Jennifer King.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and storms possible once again tonight with a low temperature of 73 degrees and south winds at 5 to 15. On Tuesday, scattered showers and storms are likely with a high of 84 degrees and winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, sunshine, comfortable with a high of 79 degrees. Thursday, sunny with a high of 80. Friday, sunshine and a high of 90. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 88.
This is your WCPT Progressive Calendar. Tuesday, August 12th at 6:30 p.m., Illinois Congressman Jesus Chuy Garcia is holding a town hall at the North Lake City Hall with State Rep. Norma Hernandez as special guest. A meet and greet will take place from 6 to 6:30. Get your tickets at chuigarcia.house.gov or eventbrite.com. Tuesday, August 26th at noon, the City Club of Chicago welcomes City of Chicago Inspector General Deborah Wurtzberg in conversation with City Club CEO Dan Gibbons. Wurtzberg recently announced that she will not seek re-election. Thursday, August 28th at noon, the City Club of Chicago welcomes Illinois 5th District Congressman Mike Quigley. Both City Club events take place at Maggiano's Banquets, 111 West Grand Avenue in Chicago. Get your tickets at cityclub-chicago.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. We're going to switch gears here in a few minutes from the news of the day, because we often talk about finding joy, and you know how much I love storytelling and movies and art. So we're going to just touch base with a filmmaker who has a movie to tell you about that will be premiering and screening here in Chicago at the Pickwick Theatre and other parts of the country. And we'll find out how you might be able to see it soon as well. First, I want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Maybe it's time for you to get solar panels on your house. If you've been thinking about it, it's time to get off the fence, because there are incentives that will expire at the end of the year, and you don't want to wait too long because it takes a few months to get up and running. So go to source.solar and make an appointment with Peter Sorellis. We had a great conversation with him and Warren last week. If you want to listen to that podcast, it's available at heartlandsignal.com, and they answered a lot of really important questions about getting solar panels on your house or business. The business incentives expire next year, so you have a little more time on that. We also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com, and if you enter the promo code DriveHome10, you get 10% off your entire order, and I highly recommend a bean subscription so you don't have to worry about running out of coffee. It'll be delivered to your home. That's pridecoffeeroasters.com. And I want to say hi to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and our friends listening on 1150 KKNW in Seattle, Washington, the alternative talk of Seattle. And I think we all want to know more about this movie coming out, because I love sweet stories, and from what I've seen in the trailer, the Spartan Dream looks incredibly sweet. A Spartan Dream is going to be opening for a limited run at the Pickwick Theatre here in Chicago. Well, in the Chicagoland area. It's Park Ridge, right down the street over here. And joining us is a co-writer and co-producer of the film, George Demas. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm well, Patty. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited because this, I really think, this is one of those movies where you kind of like, I want to be in this town and with these people. Tell us a little bit first of all about yourself. Where did you grow up, my friend?
I grew up in Connecticut, and basically about a half hour from New York City.
Uh-huh.
And I have a lot of family from Baltimore as well, which has a big Greek community. And my godfather, actually, I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but he lived in Chicago and had a restaurant there.
Yeah.
So kind of, I'm from Connecticut, but I have a lot of family amidst the Greek-American diaspora around the country.
And what drew you to writing, to theater, to acting? Tell us a little bit about this journey.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I feel is very important, especially in this day of kind of electronics and disposable media, is kind of getting on some nicer clothes and going into a dark room and us all sitting next to one another and looking at stories about ourselves. And I think that's an experience that's very edifying and important today. And it's something when I started. I'm an actor essentially, and when I first went to acting conservatory, I was at NYU at the Stella Adler Conservatory, and I went in and I was, I knew I wanted to be an actor, but in being there, I learned how important storytelling can be for teaching history, teaching the form and pressure of different time periods to people in ways that you can't get any other way, because it's a kind of learning that's not so much mental, but it's digested, It's gustatory. So that's kind of where my interest was born in it, was as an actor.
And you've produced theater around the world. This has been quite the journey for you, hasn't it?
Yes. I there was one piece in particular called Crap 39, which is based on Crap's Last Tape, and it's about an actor and Crap's Last Tape is about an old man who's 69. Not that old, but he's 69, and it's written by Samuel Beckett, and he's listening to these tapes of his younger self, and he's railing against himself with disgust. And my friend was turning 39, and that's the age of Crap when he was making the tapes as a younger man. And instead of having everybody go to the bar for his birthday, he trapped us all in a room, all of his friends, and made us listen to this piece that he had made up about how he wanted to make the tapes that Crap listens to at age 39, put them in a box, and then when he turned 69, do a production of Crap's Last Tape and use the tapes that he had made on his birthday. So that was a show that we did in London and in Ireland, and it won the best solo show at the New York Fringe, and had a 7-month commercial run in New York.
That's fantastic. That's got to be dreamlike.
Oh yeah, it was very It's funny how things in the business of your fortune can change so quickly.
Yes.
One day you can be kind of toweling off tables as a waiter, and then the next you can be on a network TV show. It just happens very fast.
Yep, feast or famine. That's what I always say.
Exactly.
Yes, it really is.
Yes.
So tell us about embarking on this journey with a Spartan Dream. Tell us about this film and the genesis. You're a co-writer on this, so is this a story that you've collaborated with somebody who this came from them, or tell us about how this was born?
It's my uncle. My uncle. We're obviously from the same ancestral town, and as many things that are kind of coming out now, this was born in the middle of COVID, and there was no work going on as an actor, and it was there were real fears that the theaters were ever going to open up again. So my uncle Leonidas called me, and he said he had this piece that he had been working on, and wanted me to look at it, and would we want to work on it together, because we're from this, the characters in this film are inspired by characters that we knew in our village just outside of Sparta, our ancestral village. And so, when he's talking about a character, obviously fictional, but based on people, I know the people who he's talking about. And he knew that I also had been in kind of the world of dramatic storytelling for a long time, and had kind of helped nurture pieces along, and get them staged and done. So that's kind of where it began. And then I also knew the director, Michael Achilles, from a theater I had worked in Tribeca, and he's Spartan too. His ancestral village is 15-minute drive from ours. So that was, and he has he had a real track record, having directed a number of feature films. So it felt like we were touched and had real good fortune to get the momentum for this going. And he was so excited. He was like, "Yes, I'm totally into this." So that's kind of where it began. And when Leonidas asked me to do this, I said, well, really, it was his brainchild, but this kind of Greek fantasia of characters from the village where we're from. And so I want, in kind of assembling it into more of a narrative, assembling the narrative, I wanted to just talk with him and try and get to the heart of what he's going for. And in doing that, he started talking to me about his life in the 60s going to Greece from the United States. And it was, it was hard for an American teenager. Our home still had a dirt floor. There was no running water, no electricity, no. And, not really that fun for an American teenager. But he told me this story about how he woke up one morning and looked out the window of his bedroom, and you could see down the dirt road of the village that had these successive iron gates of the different homes. And he said he just saw people without talking, just the gates opened, and people started to walk out into the street together, heading down to this neighbor's orchard to help him pick his oranges.
Oh.
And nobody said anything. It was just what you did. You helped one another.
Yeah.
And he said that was the moment, amidst his grousing about, how backwards it was there. That was the moment where he connected with the greatness of the people in the village, and as a big fan of history, how the greatness of the ancients still lived in these Greeks. So that to me seemed like a good touchstone for a film, because that's something that kind of has to be witnessed to be understood.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what is at the heart of drama. Like, if you can write a novel, do it. If you can write an essay, do that. But when it's something that must be witnessed to be understood, then you kind of have the kernel of something that could be either a play or a film. So yeah, that's kind of how it started.
That's beautiful, and to have a story that you guys have developed and infused with the energy of a teenager, and what you were talking about is sort of learning what the heart of this village is about, but also tying in both history and the struggle we have in modern times with even the relics of history, right? With the marbles that are in England.
Yes, and also the greatness of Melina Mercouri, who was a real hero in her efforts to get it back. Another piece of good fortune about this film it was while we were shooting in this seaside town. There was one day of shooting at the water. I read online that UNESCO had, for the first time, gotten the Acropolis Museum people together with the British Museum to discuss possibly returning the Elgin marbles to Greece.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, that's it's happening for the first time ever. And so yes, there's a big component of history in this. There's also there's a particular take that I think Leonidas has, which is that regarding the relics of history, that Athens is kind of this great vacuum cleaner, and that anytime something is found, whether it be in Sparta or Thessalonica or whatever, it's all scooped up and taken to Athens. And he feels, and I feel very strongly, that that that's not fair, that those things should be where they were found and enrich the culture and lives of the people native to those relics. And that's one of the messages of the film.
Do you mind?
Or one of the themes.
I love that. I want to come back and focus a little bit on the story, the filmmaking. We can talk about the actors. I need to take a break here, though, if you wouldn't mind hanging out for another segment. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Excellent. We're talking to George Demas, co-writer, co-producer of the film A Spartan Dream, and you can catch it at the Pickwick Theatre in the Chicagoland area. That's in Park Ridge, right here. It's right down the street. On August 15th, go to pickwicktheatre.com. That's pickwicktheatre.com. You can also see the trailer on YouTube. Search for A Spartan Dream, and we'll talk more with the co-writer and co-producer of the show the movie in just a moment on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on home and auto insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check your house sitter has the new code first before leaving for vacation.
System lockout. But that's the code. Contacting authority.
I'm out of here.
Oh, seriously, the car too?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a home and auto bundle that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Potential savings vary. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
Every day, we go about our lives driven by routine, our vision clouded by the very normalcy we take for granted. Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible. It's time to open our eyes. The Blue Campaign provides a unified voice for those who combat human trafficking, whether it's forced labor, domestic servitude, or the sex trade. Learn what you can do to help by visiting dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation with the co-writer, co-producer of the film A Spartan Dream, which will be premiering or screening in Chicago at the Pickwick Theatre in Park Ridge. George, tell the folks a little bit about the story, I guess, the log line, as they say, or the sort of overall element that you tell people. What's this movie about?
Well, it's about a young man from New Jersey who works in his father's diner, and the diner is struggling badly, and he wants to go to college, and his father says, "I can't send you to college because the business is struggling too badly." He says, "Well," and the son offers, "Well, why don't I sell our house in Greece?" And his father says, "You can't because your uncle lives there." And he says, "Well, he's been living there rent-free for the longest time, and he has lots of friends. I'm sure he'll find a place to live." He says, "I'll go over and do it. I'll deal with it." So he sends him to Greece, and I'm trying not to give up too much of the storyline.
I hear you.
When he arrives, he sees his uncle, who, of course, ends up being the kindest man on planet Earth. And then also living with him is a beautiful young woman who he's adopted that, of course, our main character instantly falls in love with. So he's faced with this thing of having to toss them out and but also dealing with these emotions that he's having. And what happens is he eventually does throw them out, and she's very upset with him. And he figures the way, and he's a little bit touched. He's having these visions of like ancient Spartans talking to him. And so he goes up with this villager to the top of Mount Taygetus, and he gives him this elixir to drink that's beyond ouzo. And in this kind of Eleusinian mystery that he experiences, this mystical moment, he comes up with this idea that he is going to attack Athens and retake the Vaphio cups, which were very, very valuable and were found near the village where the film takes place. And they're estimated to be worth, if they were sold, about $20 million each, the 2 cups. So he says he's going to go to Athens and get the cups for the girl, and then she'll be into him again, and it'll solve all their problems.
Sure.
So that's all I can give you.
Yeah, that's great.
So he assembles a kind of a ragtag group of Spartan farmers to become his ancient army of 300 that he's going to take up to Athens, and he does so, and the story goes from there.
Even from watching the trailer, folks, the trailer is available on YouTube. It's a Spartan Dream, and so I think that'll pop up, right? I don't think, is there a better link?
Yeah. I think it'll be the first listing.
Yeah, it's great. And there's a richness to it, right? I mean, it has that sort of that quality, almost dreamlike quality, even watching. And to your point earlier, you mentioned that in this time of all these gadgets that we have, I just went to the movies, and I hate to say this, for the first time about a month ago, the first time since 2019, the pandemic, and then life got away from me. And you're absolutely right. My body relaxed completely. You're kind of held accountable to not look at your device because there's other people in the theater, and I think it was the first time where I spent 2 hours just not thinking about anything but the story in front of me. And I think that's what your movie will give people an opportunity to also be transported, right? This dreamlike element to it. Greece,
yes, it's beautifully shot, and it's a fantasy. It also, that's one of the reasons we set it. There were several, but one of the reasons we set it in 1987 is so, in terms of portraying life, we didn't have to deal with phones.
Right.
And it was also kind of that last moment where the village life was completely different than life in the U.S. What the computer has done in the internet is it's kind of like when I was a kid and I went there, the kids dressed different, they listened to different music, they liked different sports, everything was different. They ate different things. Now, the internet has homogenized youth all over the world. So we wanted to keep that, have our main character really be a fish out of water when he went to Greece. So, Also, I wanted to bring up one thing is that, this is a story about Greece, but I think that for a lot of backgrounds, or whatever background you are, you do have, one of the themes is this ambivalence. Like, this young man is passionate about ancient Greek history and the greatness of the ancients and it being the cradle of Western civilization. But then he's working, for his dad in a restaurant and gets yelled at for throwing out a quarter bottle of ketchup. And he's like, well, what is my background? Is it these people or is it this? And I think there's that kind of ambivalence no matter what your background is. Like if you're Hispanic, a Jew, or you're always like, there's these great things, and then there's also, but who are these people?
Sure.
And he's trying to reconcile that, and I think he does. But I think the story will have a broader appeal than just Greek people. I think a lot of different people will recognize that kind of struggle of reconciling those aspects of your background.
And I also think for me, from my point of view, like I swear, George, every single Greek person I know in Chicago knows every other Greek person in Chicago. Like they all know each other in Chicago. it's a whole thing.
Well, me and the director, we were down in Tribeca, and he's like, I'm from Sparta. He says, I'm from Sparta too. And he says where his village is. And this was 20 years ago when I first met him. And we joked about how we met more Spartans in New York than we met in Sparta.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
So yeah, the Greeks are like there is a very tight community in Chicago, I hear.
Yes, they definitely
are.
are.
You guys have a big Greek festival there?
Oh,
I
sure.
would imagine.
Oh, huge Greek festival.
Yeah.
Plus we have Greek Town, and I think so. There's both. I think you're right. I think there are elements that we identify with. You know, sort of, especially like that dreamlike quality when you try to imagine your ancestors from whatever part of the world they've come from. I love that you've tapped into that, and I think that does resonate with so many different people. And also, I think that there is that sort of fascination that people have with Greek culture. I mean, there's a reason why we enjoy the food and drink and you know all the music and the storytelling in particular.
Well, I think one final part of the story I would like to share with your listeners is there's a theme of like his father is very old school and he wants him to be a man, learn to be a man, and he's sending him over to Greece to handle this. And it brings up, what is that question? What does that mean in a real sense? You have the kind of idea of, does being a man mean to kind of realize your macho side? I don't know. There's many complex things. I think it first means become human. But that's one of the themes there, and that also is. It's kind of rife with the old school Greeks too. That if you're a young man or an old man like me, you remember that being that exhortation to be a man.
Yeah.
And I think this film deals with this and that in a very sensitive and rich way. That question, what does it mean?
Yeah, I love that.
So, yeah.
I love to explore all of that, and I look forward to this movie and your future work as well. We've been talking to George Demas, the co-writer and co-producer of the film A Spartan Dream. It's going to be running for a limited time at the Pickwick Theatre right here in the Chicagoland area in Park Ridge, and then obviously there'll be a digital release for folks to learn about later. So maybe we'll touch base again, and you can tell us about those plans.
Yes, it's going to be on Apple TV at some point.
Okay, excellent.
I believe you can pre-order it now.
But we encourage you to go to the
TV.
theater. We encourage you to go to the theater if you can, folks, to enjoy it on the big screen.
100%. 100%. Well, it is. I'll tell you what, it's better on the big screen with the kind of vastness of and beauty of Greece and how beautifully it was shot. It's definitely worth it to go to the theater.
And that's one of my favorite theaters. I grew up going to the movies there. I think I saw Back to the Future probably 13 times there. So I look forward to going back. Yeah. Thank you
That's great.
Yep. Thank you so much, George. Great meeting you, and I look forward to our future conversations.
Patty, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care. Be well.
Okay, bye-bye.
Safe travels. Bye-bye. Let's take a break here, and we'll continue our conversation. We're going to have our friend Lana Manikowski in studio with us. We'll talk about the beginning of the school year in a moment on WCPT in a different way. More after this on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Scattered showers and storms possible once again tonight with a low temperature of 73 degrees and south winds at 5 to 15. On Tuesday, scattered showers and storms are likely with a high of 84 degrees and winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, sunshine, comfortable with a high of 79 degrees. Thursday, sunny with a high of 80. Friday, sunshine and a high of 90. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 88.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? Well, what's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents. And when a kitten has a litter of oopsies and a puppy has a litter of uh-ohs, pretty soon you have thousands and thousands of OMGs. And that leads to millions of pets being killed in shelters each year. But if 80% of people with pets say they believe in spaying and neutering, then what gives? Turns out that those sweet little fuzzballs can get pregnant sooner than you think. A lot sooner. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. You just have to remember one number, 4, as in 4 months. When you bring home Maggie or Ruby or Puddles or Clyde, get them fixed at 4 months old. It can be old enough to get pregnant, and it's definitely young enough to make a difference. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
What's on your to-do list? Check your mail? Get groceries? How about getting your annual vaccines? We can help you check that off.
You've got this.
Yes, you do. Because we've got you. With local vaccine events and access to transportation, protecting yourself and your loved ones is not a chore anymore.
You've got this.
A message from the Aging and Disability Vaccination Collaborative, powered by U.S. Aging. Funded by the U.S. Administration for Community Living through a grant to U.S. Aging. Learn more at yougotthis.usaging.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. We switched gears this hour, turning away really from the current news, taking a little bit of a respite. We'll be back to, what does Joan call it now? Terrible Tuesdays, which I think was off of Motivational Mondays that I do, and now I'm not even motivated to do Motivated Mondays. Right, Lady B, is that right? I have your microphone. No? Yes, I think that's, I think it's Terrible Tuesdays is what Joan does? I think so. Bad Attitude Tuesday. Oh, that is what it is. Bad Attitude Tuesday. Well, today this is actually Motivational Monday. We have in the studio with our friend, once again joining us is Lana. Sorry, I had it right the first time in the hallway, didn't I? Lana Manikowski joining us in the studio. Welcome back, my friend. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm so good, Patty. I love our vibe together.
We have this sort of like smiling rage. Yeah. Is it confusing for people, do you think?
I think so.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah, it is. Keep wondering.
This is such a dark story, but I sadly found a friend of mine who had passed away from long COVID, but I was one to find him, and so his landlords came down, and they were like, I had found him. He had his phone in his hand. I know he was probably looking at some news story. And I have a dark sense of humor, and I turned to them and I said, "Well, I know this much. He died angry at somebody, right?" And they go, they said, "Well, I don't know. He seemed like a really nice guy." I go, "I seem like a really nice person too."
Dun, da, da.
Dun, da, da. So tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing. I know we're going to talk about back to school and the childless experience segment, right?
Yes.
So you wanted to have children.
I did. Yes. I went through a 7-year journey.
Oh my God.
Of trying to become a mom. Everything from Reiki, acupuncture, IUI, IVF, like you name it. I tried it. And in the end, I wasn't able to become a mom. And there were absolutely no resources offered to me to help me, like even a therapist to navigate this unexpected life.
When you met with a therapist, were they kind of like, well, have you tried? Were they also kind of like that a little bit?
I never met with one.
Because there isn't anyone dedicated to this particular field. You want someone that knows.
There's a lot of people that help you while you're going through the process and a lot of support there. But after all this time, there was like nobody who was focused on how to create a life that you feel connected to again when it turned out so different than you thought. And I sat there since 2018 just wondering, like, how in the hell am I going to not be feeling as though like my life is always missing a piece of it? And that's when I decided in 2020 that I was going to try to create the change for the women like me who are just kind of kicked to the curb when you can't have a baby.
Right. And whether it's by choice, whether it's by not getting there, whatever the path is, you're all talked to the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's, it's unlikely that every single woman hasn't had that conversation with somebody. Oh, did you not want any? Could you not? Like, who thinks it's okay to like talk to people this way?
Yeah. I think the world is just really uncomfortable when they find someone doesn't have a child. And for me, I found it was like everyone was trying to fix me and give me their, okay, have you tried this? Have you thought about adoption? Or have you talked to your sisters, cousins, whatever, who got pregnant at, 56? And I'm like, but I just felt like everyone was trying to always offer me a solution that I, A, had already thought about, but B, that didn't allow me to just be me without kids. So I created this whole guide. It's called The Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless, which I think is very entertaining because people oftentimes don't realize like the things that they're saying really minimizes you as a person to think that like you can't fix your own life.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's available on my website if you want it.
Do you think, I have a theory that when people aren't living the life that others think you're supposed to, it's because they don't like chaos, right? Like something isn't the way it's supposed to be. Things aren't in the order as they're supposed to come, right?
That's such a good point. I think so. And I think also there's part of me that thought I couldn't live a life that felt connective and purposeful and meaningful unless it looked like that storybook picture. And so I think we oftentimes question ourselves as women, whether you're childless by choice or not by choice, like, can I really have it all? And what is it all for you could be different than what it all is for me.
Right.
And I think that, a lot of people just don't know how to handle people who don't have the life that goes by the script.
Yeah. And this, in particular women, I'm just trying to think, like, I always think of the actresses that they'll go out of their way to tell us are not moms, right? But it's not a category for men, like childless dads.
Right? And that point, And, a lot of people will judge like, oh, well, you prioritized your career. You should have thought about, getting married sooner or earlier. And I wasn't ready. I got married at 35. I'm happy I waited. I probably would have married somebody who knows what it would end up like.
Right.
And had a child with somebody that wasn't the right person for me. And so to make that decision just based on having a child, I'll take what I ended up with and be happy with it all day long.
What are some of the things on your list of 27 things that people say?
Oh gosh, there's things like pray harder.
No!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you thought about adoption, which, of course, most of us have, or you won't know love until you have a child. That's another one that's on the list. And, it's just, I truly think people think that they're doing it well-meaning. They want to have the golden solution for us, but it's just, sometimes just stop and say, oh, wow.
Yeah.
How are you?
Right? Yeah. I told a woman this when, I think I told you that, might have told you this last time. I have a bit in my act about how when people say, God only gives, right? God only gives special needs children to special parents. And I had heard it so many times. So I have my line is, what I hear is better you than me. Right. And this woman came up to me after the show, angry at me. Oh, when I told my sister that, she got mad at me too. And I'm just trying to help. And I'm like, who are you trying to help? If your sister told you it hurts when you say that, and she tells you it doesn't make you feel good, well, why are you mad about it? They're only trying to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
And
that's
the
really
chaos.
What it is. Like you said, the discomfort, they can't handle it.
No.
And I feel really proud of the work that I do with my clients. I'm a certified life coach. I don't think I mentioned that, but I work with women who, like me, leave fertility treatments without a baby and help them realize, like, you can't change the world in the way that they see you, but you can change the way that you see you and how you show up. And that's like really where we have our power, is to say, like, people can give me all these suggestions and tell me that I won't know love until I have a child, but they don't know love in their life the way that I know love in my life. So.
Is that something you say to people? I mean, what kind of comebacks do you have? Because mine aren't going to be as nice as yours.
Well, there's a variety. There's part
I
of that.
smile, but
yeah, it depends. Honestly, like sometimes I feel really cheeky and I won't give them the time of day. Other times I'm like, oh, you probably never met anyone who's worked as hard as I have at being a mom and has found so much happiness.
Yeah.
And they don't know. They're like, wait, you're happy?
Yeah. I know. That's going to cause chaos in their brains. They can't take that.
But overall, I just think, more people need to realize that anytime you look for an accessory outside of you to make you feel complete, whether it's a child, whether it's a partner, a luxury item or a good, like you're just always chasing that thing or something.
Right.
It's you who creates the happiness and the fulfillment in your life.
How would you encourage people who, because I often say, throw away the first thing you want to say. Right. Your instinct, whatever that impulse is, unless it's really kind, we absolutely know for 100% sure that it's going to come across as kindness. But how do you encourage people to be mindful too? I mean, I know we're talking about people dealing with it, but do you have any suggestions for people who should be more mindful before they speak?
Yeah, well, I think always stopping and saying, how are you? You know, like, how are you doing with all of that? That seems like it was a lot for you. Are you okay? Is there anything you'd like to share? I mean, sometimes we want to talk about it and tell people what our stories are and what they are, and just be acknowledging and not fixing. I just think we're so fixated on fixing.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, believe me, I know. We're talking to life coach, author, infertility activist. She's the author of So Now What? Create a Life You Love Without the Children You Always Dreamed Of. She's also the host of the So Now What podcast, and you can go to LanaManikowski.com. That's LanaManikowski. I can't read or spell apparently. .com. That's .com. We'll be right back with Lana when we come back on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. If you have any questions, you can text us. You can also call if you want, 773-763-9278. More after this.
The Rick Smith Show.
These are the people that we've handed the keys to the kingdom. These are the people that we've said, go ahead, run the country. So are we surprised when we said that they're going to run it into the ground? No, you could go, Rick, you've been saying this is all planned, and I think it is. I think the chaos is plotted. I think they know, just as long as there's chaos, we can then do the real goal, which is breaking the federal government and stealing from we the taxpayers.
The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 7 on WCPT 820.
WCPT replay.
Former Illinois Congressman Joe Walsh is here. Have you had any conversations with Republicans currently in Congress? Because what I found during Trump's first term is that I would talk to Republicans and they would toe the party line publicly. And then once the cameras were off and once the mics were shut off, it would be like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy. This is horrible. This is awful.
It's still the same, Joan, but the scarier aspect is, whereas 7 years ago when I publicly came out against Trump, every one of my former Republican colleagues privately said, Joe, I agree with you, but I can't say that. But the number of true believing Trumpers now in the House and the Senate has really increased, and America needs to know that.
Keep listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project!
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations!
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Hi, this is Patti Vasquez. We appreciate all our fans of Driving It Home, and your support of show sponsor Minocqua Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7 p.m. You can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly.
No detours, no distractions, just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
We are heading into the home stretch, and I want to thank all of our guests who are on the show today, George Demas and our friend Granny FiFi. And in studio, we have our friend Lana Manikowski, who's an infertility activist and coach, the author of So Now What? Create a Life You Love Without the Children You Always Dreamed Of. And I think that even people who have someone in their life who's going through this would benefit from these conversations or these books too, this book.
I think so. Yeah, I've actually had people who were like friends from high school, friends from college read it just to support me. And like one of my friends from college reached out. She has a severely autistic child. And she goes, I want to let you know, like your book really resonated with me because my journey to motherhood didn't end the way that I thought. And there was so much that she got value out of it. So I feel really proud of that too.
Yeah, because, we were talking about the resources available to people who are going through infertility, like just the whole, sometimes the failure, sometimes the stress of it, the whole path of it. There isn't a mourning period. There isn't you're not allowed to have that grief, right? Because it's almost like considered to be selfish or, there's this idea that people deserve what they get, and that's kind of nasty.
Yeah, there were parts of my journey where I was like, gosh, did I really do something bad to somebody? Like I question, was I being, I
want to hug you. I'm sorry.
I love you. Thanks. But there were parts of that I was like, gosh, like what did I do to deserve this?
Right.
And I think you brought a point up about grief, and I actually have an advanced coaching certification in grief because there's so many women that are mourning their loss of motherhood. But like for me, I never once had a positive pregnancy test in those 7 years of trying. And because I never lost something or there was nothing tangible that someone could put their arms around that they see as grief worthy, I felt like, I feel like I lost something, but what did I really lose? So it's called disenfranchised grief. It's a type of grief that I help a lot of my clients work through because the world doesn't have a sympathy card for somebody who never had a positive pregnancy test.
So what they need is a handwritten note from their friends to say, I'm here for whatever you need.
Yep, absolutely. I love you. You're a badass. Keep going.
Exactly. Now, the school year has started, especially, I know the suburbs maybe start a little bit earlier, but we see all the signs, all the events. There's just a lot of energy behind back to school. Talk a little bit about this experience for folks like you.
Yeah, well, most people are getting flooded with pictures of back to school and kids with their backpacks and what they want to be when they grow up on the cute little chalkboards. And, which is great. I'm not envious of them, but I realized what's my back to school look like? So I started this thing a couple years ago called the Back to School Challenge for Childless Women. And if you go on my Instagram, my handle's at lana.manikowski. And I'm asking people to post pictures of themselves at any point when they were in school. It could be like elementary years all the way to, if you have a PhD, who knows, if it's a picture from there. And just recognize who we were as students and be able to celebrate, maybe go through some old pictures. So it's been a fun challenge. I have this reel that you can just remix and then add your picture, and then it can be this stringing on to other people and other people and other people who want to gravitate and share their pictures of themselves as kids, even though they're childless.
And you should be able to celebrate and have those memories because a lot of it is, like you said, there's a big sales, there's, all of our friends posting things online, and, we get to be visible. Is what you're saying.
Totally.
Right?
And one of the things that's hard for a lot of the people that I work with who are childless is you don't have those typical milestones that most parents have of sending their kid off to school and graduations and things that you sort of form your life along, your parental life along these milestones. And when you don't have those milestones, sometimes you could just sort of forget chunks of your life and remembrances of things that you experienced, even though you're not a parent.
Yeah. And I think that, there's also this sort of fictional, we see in movies or television of, those cool aunts or the ones without, like the ones that are like, I'm happier without kind of a thing. It's different for every single person. And the why is different for every single person.
It is. And I am the cool aunt. Let me just say that.
Excellent.
Shout out to my niece and nephew. They're here in Chicago. And we have the best time together. And I love that they're in my life and I can be part of their lives. But I'm also at a point where I'm super glad that my husband and I can go out and have dinner at 8:30 at night without checking in or getting a babysitter or doing any of those things. So there's so many things that have turned out differently than I thought. I thought I was going to be sad or kind of a part of me missing my whole life. And a lot of that I attribute to putting the work into myself.
Sure. Well, I think you reminded me of something, which is that, that grief element of, the disenfranchisement grief, right, is what we dreamt of. Right. Because your brain is so powerful, you actually have lived those dreams. You've thought of them, gone to sleep to them, especially over 7 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was 7 years of trying. But, I remember being the younger, version of me and playing with dolls and playing house and being the mom. And, it was just something that I always thought was going to be automatic in my life.
And I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but now we're at a point in our culture because of certain political parties that motherhood is being elevated to this, prizes for having a certain number of kids. It's sort of a weird direction that we're heading in. Let's just go this way, like the trad wife, like these there's energy behind certain social media platforms or even the Mormon wives, it's all about being a mom rather than being genuine and authentic to yourself. Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think we get really hooked into playing roles.
Yes.
And
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And I think, there's some things I love to do in my marriage that are traditional. Like it's not all the time, but, sometimes I like to cook. Sometimes I don't. But I don't think that I do things with the expectation that I'm a bad wife if I don't do that, or I'm a bad female, or I don't represent, females well if I don't move on to do seek adoption or continue on this path in different routes that were offered to me. And I love that we're having those conversations now and that we're at a point where women are high earning potentials. And even though there's not equality in earning, but we don't have to check in and say, hey, can I buy this or spend this or do that? You do not hear that in my house, let me tell you. I am very happy. And, my husband's very supportive of it, too. He is I want you to have what you want and not have to check in with me. I don't know. I am so happy to be at this point in society. And, of course, there's upgrades that we still need to do to get other people on board with that visualization of what women are and the purpose we serve beyond motherhood and wivery. Is that the right word? I don't even know.
I don't even want to get into this interview I saw over the weekend with somebody who basically said our only value is to be mothers and that our role is to push people out of us and we're responsible for 3 to 4 souls. And it's and it would be laughable if there weren't people who really, and then it sort of trickles out in different ways for people, I think, based on traditions, social expectations. It's a lot that you're guiding people through.
Yeah. And I think we don't hear the story enough that you can be whole and fulfilling and meaningful even if you never had a child, whether you wanted one or not. I think that's a story that I'll never stop telling and why I wrote my book.
And I think it's a message for everyone that, you can be whole in whatever place you find yourself in life, right? Post addiction, during addiction, if you've gone through divorce, everything. There's a whole range of human experiences that people can learn from you, I think, in your kindness, your empathy, and telling people it's okay to not, be what you dreamt of.
Yeah. And
or I think what somebody else dreamt of.
I was going to say, yeah, or that expectation of what you should have done or what you should have achieved.
Yes, that
even
too.
though if it didn't feel connected to you or you weren't able to actually achieve it. So
you mean I'm not going to have a sitcom possibly? Right, but that's the thing. Like even people who started their career as a performer, like that's the brass ring, or at least at the time it was. And sometimes you do have those moments of doubt, And you know what? I think the best thing for me is to go, okay, there's that thought. I'm going to let it go. Right?
Hi, thought. How are you? I'm not listening to you today.
Do you meditate?
I do.
How much? Yes. How much would you say?
Usually like 10 minutes. I listen to Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
Who has
I'm familiar?
she has this 10-minute meditation, and I try to do that in the mornings and just sort of reset my energy.
Yeah.
And just feel abundant. Even just knowing like good things are coming. They're always coming.
Because it's endless. Abundance is endless. Yeah. That's the whole idea, is that it's all, you have to believe in yourself and in the availability that's out there.
Yeah, I think people get stuck on, even like someone making a lot of money, that someone shouldn't make money because that's less that there is for you. And it's like, there's endless talents that can bring you the money and the things. So we can go on forever.
Exactly. How do you want folks to find you? I know you mentioned Instagram, and remind them about your website.
Yeah, my website, LanaManikowski.com, LanaManikowski.com. And so I'm most active on Instagram, and you can find my book available and all my links. And if you have a friend going through fertility, tell them about me, because they're probably not getting the resources that they needed.
No, I love your story, and I love having you in studio. We look forward to having you back. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. I want to thank our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters. Go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. Don't forget, if you put in Drive Home 10, you get a 10% discount off your entire order. They've got some great swag, including their tote. Sounds gay? I'm in. And they've got some, of course, I love their coffee. They've got a bean subscription available as well. Thank you to our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar and find out if it's time to put solar panels on your house or residence. Thank you, Lady B. Thank you, everybody listening. Have a great evening. Talk to you tomorrow.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands.